If you're over 60 and noticing that you no longer wake up with morning erections, don't chalk it up to aging just yet. This isn't simply about getting older, it's your body sending a warning. And ignoring it doesn't just impact your intimate life. It can chip away at your confidence, drain your energy, and even signal deeper heart health concerns. Erectile dysfunction isn't just a personal or emotional issue. It's often a sign of poor circulation, weakened pelvic muscles, and subtle physiological shifts that affect your overall wellness. What most men don't realize is that this decline isn't permanent. My name is Dr. Edward Mason. I'm a urologist who spent over 30 years helping men reclaim their strength, vitality, and sense of self without resorting to pills. I've worked with men in their 60s, 70s, and even well into their 80s who regained firm, natural erections using straightforward, evidence-based practices tailored to the aging body. Here's the real issue. Too many men are putting all their hope in testosterone or medication, while the root of the problem is left unaddressed. Today, I want to walk you through 4 key exercises that work from the inside out, boosting blood flow, engaging core muscles, and restoring healthy sexual function. One of these techniques is rarely mentioned, yet incredibly effective. So stick with me. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, take a second to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a tip built specifically for men over 60. And if you find this helpful, drop a 1 in the comments. If it's not quite what you were expecting, leave a 0. Your feedback helps me continue sharing what truly works. Let's start with the most essential practice, the foundation of everything else: engaging the pelvic floor. This muscle group is at the heart of your sexual performance, and strengthening it can lead to firmer erections and greater control. The first technique is called pelvic floor activation, what many know as Kegels for men. I remember a patient named Harold, a 67-year-old who had just retired after decades of hard work. He'd been married for more than 40 years. When he came to see me, he looked down and said quietly, "I still love my wife deeply, but I don't feel like myself anymore." He was losing his erections gradually, and then they stopped altogether. Pills hadn't helped, but after just 8 weeks of practicing a daily routine I gave him, Harold returned with a light in his eyes. "Doc, I feel alive again," he said. That simple practice was pelvic floor activation. And despite what you might have heard, these exercises aren't just for women or bladder control. For men, especially those past 60, they are one of the most natural and powerful ways to rebuild sexual health. Why are they so effective? Because the pelvic floor muscles help trap blood inside the penis during an erection. When these muscles are strong, they hold the blood in place, maintaining firmness. But when they weaken, blood leaks out too quickly, resulting in softer or short-lived erections. Most older men I've worked with have never trained these muscles before, and yet once they do, things start to shift. They notice firmer, longer-lasting erections, better control in the bedroom, and even a renewed sense of energy and inner confidence. And the best part? You don't need a gym membership or any fancy equipment, just a little consistency. So, how do you begin? Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. You can either sit or lie down, whatever feels most comfortable. The goal here is to isolate the correct muscle group. The easiest way to locate it is by imagining that you're trying to stop the flow of urine midstream. That subtle inward squeeze you feel, that's your pelvic floor muscle. You shouldn't be tensing your stomach, legs, or glutes only, that internal muscle. You can place a hand on your belly to check if your abdomen is moving. You're engaging the wrong muscles. Once you've identified it, go ahead and contract it. Hold that contraction for about 5 seconds, feeling that engagement deep inside. Then let go and rest for another 5 seconds. That's 1 rep. Start with 10 reps per session. It'll take less than 2 minutes. Ideally, repeat this routine 3 times a day, once in the morning, again in the afternoon, and a final round before bed. After a couple of weeks, begin extending the hold time to 7 seconds, then up to 10. Like with any other muscle, you're gradually building endurance. Within a month or so, many men start to notice improvements not just in erection quality, but in stamina and even sensation. It's a small daily commitment, but the payoff can be life-changing. You're no longer waiting and hoping your body will cooperate. You're actively taking charge. and that's something medication alone can never offer. Now, if this exercise works by building strength deep within, imagine the impact when you also unlock the flow of blood that feeds your erections. That brings us to the second method used in hospitals after prostate surgery, but just as effective at home: diaphragmatic breathing combined with pelvic circulation activation. One story comes to mind every time I bring this up with patients. Charles, a 72-year-old still working part-time and staying active, came to see me one day feeling defeated. "I can't relax," he said. "Even when I want to be close to my wife, I feel disconnected. My brain is racing and my body doesn't respond." Ugh. What Charles was describing wasn't just mental. His body was stuck in a low-level stress response. Chronic tension, rapid, shallow breathing, and underlying anxiety were preventing his parasympathetic system, the one responsible for arousal, from doing its job. And what helped him most wasn't a supplement or pill. It was a breathing practice, simple yet incredibly effective. Diaphragmatic breathing, also called belly breathing, has a powerful physiological effect on your body's ability to achieve and sustain an erection, particularly as you age. As we grow older, many of us unknowingly slip into a constant state of low-level stress. Our muscles stay slightly tense, blood vessels become narrower, and breathing turns shallow and fastal without us noticing. This fight-or-flight response reduces circulation to the pelvic region, which is the exact opposite of what your body needs during arousal. But the moment you start practicing intentional, deep breathing using your diaphragm, everything begins to shift. You activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, which calms the body, lowers stress hormones like cortisol, reduces blood pressure, and most importantly, enhances blood flow to your lower body. And that's exactly what an erection requires to happen naturally. So how do you do this kind of breathing? Find a peaceful space where you can either lie down or sit with your back supported. Rest one hand on your chest and the other on your abdomen. Slowly breathe in through your nose over 4 seconds. As you inhale, your belly should gently rise under your hand, not your chest. Hold the breath for a moment, around 2 seconds. Then slowly exhale through your mouth for about 6 seconds, letting your belly fall. That's one deep, controlled breath. Repeat this cycle continuously for 5 to 10 minutes. You'll start to notice your heart rate easing, your body relaxing, and your mind becoming more centered. For best results, try doing this twice daily, once to start your day, and again before bed to unwind. If you're ever feeling anxious or disconnected before intimacy, take just 2 minutes to breathe this way. It can make a big difference. Over time, this simple routine helps re-regulate your body's internal rhythm. You'll get better oxygenation, your blood vessels become more responsive, and erections become easier to achieve and maintain because you're no longer fighting against stress. You're working with your body, not against it. I've seen men who thought they were too old or too far gone regain full, natural erections simply by committing to this practice. But beyond the physical results, they also felt more relaxed, more connected to their partners, and more in tune with themselves. And if breathing alone can begin to awaken your body's natural response, just wait until you discover what happens when we add a method that physically draws blood into the penis, retraining your system to function like it once did, even after years of struggle. That brings us to the third approach: vacuum pump therapy, or what I like to call blood flow retraining. I'll never forget introducing this method to Walter, a 65-year-old who had all but given up. He was hesitant, skeptical even, and cracked a nervous joke. "You want me to use this thing?" But underneath the humor was years of frustration. Pills hadn't worked. Time hadn't helped. He used to blame himself. Nothing had worked, no pills, no waiting, no wishful thinking. But then, 2 months after starting this therapy, that same man walked back into my office with a quiet but unmistakable confidence. "Doc," he said with a smile, "I'm having real erections again, just like I used to." That's the power of vacuum pump therapy. And once you understand how it works, you won't see it as some gimmick. You'll recognize it as a practical, science-backed way to retrain your body to function as it once did. As we age, blood flow to the penis naturally diminishes. It's often due to narrowing arteries, sedentary habits, or health conditions. like high blood pressure or diabetes. When blood doesn't circulate well, the penile tissue starts to weaken and lose its flexibility. This is where the vacuum pump comes in. By creating gentle suction, it draws blood into the penis, encouraging vessel expansion and tissue stretching, very similar to how your body responds during natural arousal. Used regularly, this technique helps improve overall circulation and revitalizes your body's ability to get and maintain an erection on its own. The process is straightforward, but precision matters. Start by selecting a high-quality, medical-grade vacuum device. Whether manual or battery-powered, doesn't matter as much as the ability to create steady, controlled suction. Apply a small amount of lubricant to the edge of the cylinder to ensure a tight seal. Then, insert your penis into the chamber. Press the base of the tube firmly against your body to maintain suction and begin to pump slowly. As pressure builds, blood is gently pulled into the penis, causing it to swell and firm up. Keep in mind, this isn't meant to create arousal, it's a form of physical training. Once the erection is formed, you can keep the vacuum pressure for 10 to 15 minutes. Some men use a soft constriction ring at the base to help hold blood in temporarily. That step should only be done under proper guidance. The focus here is on safe, effective blood flow stimulation. Begin this practice 3 times a week. Some men eventually progress to daily use, but sessions should never exceed 30 minutes. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. What happens after a few weeks is what truly matters. Many men report stronger morning erections, improved sensation during intimacy, and greater confidence in their sexual response. It's like waking up a part of the body that had been asleep for years. Unlike pills that offer a short-lived effect, this method works with your body's natural system's rebuilding function from the ground up. And when you pair vacuum therapy with the pelvic floor exercises and deep breathing techniques we've already covered, the results are even more powerful. You're building muscular support, calming the nervous system, and now re-establishing healthy blood flow all at once. This trifecta often produces real breakthroughs, especially for men who've struggled for years. But we're not stopping here. There's still one more methadone that's often misunderstood, yet backed by solid science. It doesn't just help with function, but can actually support improvement in length and tissue quality. If this is the first time you're hearing about it, don't worry. Most men haven't. But once you do, it might just change the way you think about aging and potential. 4. The Penile Extender Protocol, the quiet powerhouse. Not long ago, I met Gerald, a man in his late 60s who walked into my office with a tired look in his eyes. He had tried it all: prescriptions, pumps, pelvic exercises, but he still felt disconnected. "Doctor," he said, "I don't just want things to work. I want to feel like me again." That's when I introduced him to something he'd never heard of before: the penile extender. Naturally, he was skeptical. The idea sounded strange at first, maybe even a bit over the top. But Gerald gave it a shot, and when he returned 3 months later, he had a new kind of confidence. His erections were firmer, lasted longer, and he even gained some length, something he thought was impossible at his age. "I honestly didn't expect this," he said. But with patience and consistency, the results spoke for themselves. Penile extenders aren't common knowledge, but they've been used in clinical settings for years. Originally developed for men recovering from prostate surgeries or injuries, these devices are built around one principle: gentle, sustained traction. When applied regularly, this light tension helps trigger new cell growth, enhances blood vessel formation, a process called angiogenesis, improves tissue flexibility. All of these are essential for natural, healthy erections. So how do you use it? First, invest in a quality device. Stay away from cheap knockoffs online. They're often uncomfortable and unreliable. Look for one that's adjustable, includes soft padding or gland support, and allows you to gradually increase tension over time. Start by fitting the device onto your flaccid penis. It should feel snug, never painful. Begin with light tension, just enough to create a stretch you can hold comfortably. Wear it for 30 to 60 minutes a day during your first week. As your body adjusts, gradually work up to 1 or 2 hours daily. Most effective programs run between 3 and 6 months. This isn't a shortcut, it's a slow, steady path toward long-term change. What you're really doing is reshaping your penile tissue to be stronger, healthier, and more responsive. And many men not only see stronger erections, but also experience increased sensitivity, renewed self-confidence, and sometimes noticeable gains in length. The magic is in the consistency. Think of it like physical therapy, but for your intimate health. What sets this method apart is how deeply it affects more than just function. It can help correct minor curvature, ease performance anxiety, and even shift how a man views his own aging process. For men who felt helpless or disconnected from their bodies, it's a way to reclaim that connection on quiet session at a time. And the results can last. Unlike temporary solutions, penile extender therapy can build a foundation for sustained improvement. I've seen men come out of this process not only with stronger sexual health, but with a renewed belief in what's still possible. For many, it's no longer about catching up with who they were, it's about stepping fully into who they still are. If you've stayed with me this far, then you've now discovered 4 essential strategies to rebuild erection strength from the inside out. But don't leave just yet, because before we wrap up, I'll show you how to bring all these methods together into a simple, sustainable plan. Plus, I'll share one surprising 7-second daily habit that can take your progress to the next level. Let's finish strong. After more than 30 years working with men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, one thing has become clear to me. The biggest breakthroughs don't always come from medication or surgery. They happen when a man quietly decides to take back control day by day, step by step. If you're still reading, I believe you're already on that path. We've explored 4 practices that, when done consistently, can redefine how you experience intimacy, energy, and connection. First, pelvic floor activation, a powerful way to strengthen the muscles that control blood flow and support lasting erections. Second, diaphragmatic breathing tool to relax the body, clear the mind, and restore the balance necessary for natural arousal. Third, vacuum pump therapy, a technique that revitalizes circulation and awakens dormant tissue. And fourth, the penile extender protocol, a method that, over time, helps rebuild structure, restore confidence, and unlock your full potential. Yes, I know it might seem like a lot to take in. New habits, new tools, new routines. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that men over 60 are some of the most committed and resilient individuals I've ever had the privilege to work with. Once you understand why something matters, you'll find a way to make it happen. And that's how real, lasting change begins. These techniques aren't just about performance. They're messages to your body telling it that you're still here, still capable, and still ready to live fully. You're not fading, you're reclaiming. I've had men tell me they wish they'd learned this earlier. Some say it gave them back their sense of self. Others say it helped them reconnect with their partner, and a few have even said it saved their relationship. Now, I can't promise these steps will transform everything overnight, but I can promise they're safe, grounded in science, and shaped by decades of clinical success. More importantly, they offer you something that no prescription ever could: a way forward on your own terms. You deserve more than quiet frustration or fading confidence. You deserve clarity, strength, and the freedom to enjoy this chapter of life fully and without shame. Even if you start with just one method today, you're already choosing to move forward. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. Keep going, because what's waiting for you on the other side of steady effort isn't just better performance, it's a better life.